जमीन और आसमान दोनों यहाँ पर हैं और कलाकार भी यहाँ पर हैं. So let's begin. आपके सामने all the gentlemen who are sitting here, they are such stalwarts in their own field कि कुछ introduction की आवश्यकता नहीं है. We'll not, take your time introducing. It's a small gathering, so we'll make it interactive, right? At any stage, if you have a thought or a question, please do share. And my colleagues on the dais have agreed that that is the format we will use today. So very quickly, I'm going to invite my colleagues to share their thoughts on what their organizations have achieved, what they plan to achieve, and are there any major challenges or obstacles that they see in their achieving their set targets. So on that note, let me begin by requesting, let's start from the extreme left, Patankar Saab, and he is going to share the CSC and the CSC academic story. So Patankar Saab, over to you. We have initial round of comments from this team, and then we will go into a little bit of discussion, and we will try to make it worth your while. Patankar sir.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for. I thank the organizers for having me here. CSC has started its journey since 2009, and in the education space, we are focusing on digital literacy, financial literacy, and legal literacy. Right now, CSCs have 5.75 lakh common service centers spread across the length and breadth of the country, out of which 6,000 CSC Academy, which we have established at the block level or the taluka level as we call them. They are slightly one step ahead of a common service center where they have good infrastructure in terms of connectivity, in terms of IT infrastructure, in terms of mobilization of the candidates on the ground. So this is the network which is spread across the country. And we have basically tied up with various academic institutions, various international bodies, various civil society and academia, where we bring in all the good practices and benchmarks which have been established already in the industry and in the academia to CSCs, so that large number of students in the rural population can actually use such services. Simple examples are like mathematics, which is being taught by one of the renowned teachers in, say, Delhi Public School, is brought to a student who is studying in Kalahandi in Odisha. So similar such initiatives are there. Apart from that, we are implementing the world's largest digital literacy program for Government of India, covering all the Gram Panchayats in the country and achieving a target of 60 million, that is 6 crore across the country. And CDAC, NILIT are one of our exam agencies who do third-party evaluation of the candidates. So it's largely creating a population on the ground level so that rural people understand digital literacy and financial literacy, and that we have seen also after demonetization, the movement in terms of number of UPI transactions increasing and number of people who have used internet in the rural areas. So this is the large canvas where we are working. Right now, CSC Academy are focusing on CSC Bal Vidyalaya, as we call them. There are around 2,000 CSC Bal Vidyalaya which we have established at the block level, where we are catering to largely age between 3 and 6 years. And our Honorable Prime Minister says that to improve the scientific temper of the society. So I think this is the age where you can actually ask the children to create or to implement such scientific temper in their thought, and maybe in the later stages they can actually use some science in the day-to-day life. So this is from my side right now. I'll come back. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. And CSC is done at the grassroots level, one of the most pioneering work at scale. And the fact that they are now entering literacy and financial literacy is sort of is a good sign for us as a country on both those areas, because what is required is not pilots, but something that can be done across the country. So thank you very much for your service to the nation, sir. Very quickly, we'll go to Dr. Sasikumar. CDAC, everybody knows, right from the day when they developed the supercomputer many, many decades back. But we know that his organization has achieved many more. So over to you, sir.
So thank you. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to be present in this gathering. So, yes, educational technology or effective use of technology in education is something that has been close to my heart. And I have a group at CDAC Mumbai, about 20 years old group. And that is, I set it up in 1999 when, e-learning was just about happening on the horizon. Everybody was going around with video lectures and stuff like that. And over the period, a lot of development work we have done, a lot of explorations we have done. So one of the major landmark achievements have been virtual labs that we created for schools. So as a partnership under the Ministry of Information Technology, we built about 170 labs, virtual labs for physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, and some labs for English, covering classes in 9, 10, 11, 12. But there was a huge challenge in getting people to adopt it. Everybody looks at it and say, "Hey, this is fantastic," but when you ask for a training in the schools, we are busy, we have time, we have this, and all that happens. And then the pandemic struck, and everything turned upside down because we were actually being approached left and right, saying, "Please help us conduct the practical exams." Because by trial and error, people learned how to do lectures online. Teachers who have possibly never stood in front of a camera or on audio overnight became professional lecturers by, a lot of Jugaad stories were there on the LinkedIn and all that. But what to do about practical lab activities and particularly higher classes? And that's where I think this intervention quickly came in very handy. So a lot of effort was done by NCERT and CBSE to promote and make use of it. And then even today, Ministry of Education has very happily said that this was a game changer for them during that pandemic. That 2 years they were able to solve. And driven by that, now we are moving ahead to create a huge repository of virtual labs for schools in India. Starting with that 170 that we had done, we are another 500 more plus 300. So almost 800 to 1,000 virtual labs are going to come up in the country over the next few years. And that's a dream because I think it will enable a lot of things. One, yes, a lot of the upper schools may have access to labs comfortably, but even them, they get just 1 hour a week or so that they just barely get to understand what is going on in the lab. So by making virtual labs available, we are amplifying that. So you can do a lot of pre-practice, post-practice to deepen that understanding. Lot of schools who don't have access to laboratories at all, at least you get a feel of what is going on with respect to laboratory activities. What does a Hooke's law experiment look like? Or how do you actually find the focal length of a convex mirror, convex mirror? These are things at least you get a feel of what is going on. So that I think is a very major change as we go to look further into the technology. And the new national education policy is also all about emphasis on technology. So we are in the right direction by picking up those threads. In addition to that, we have also done a lot of work with on online program grading system to check the quality of software that learning programming time. We have a kind of a low-cost OMR which does not require an OMR scanner or an OMR paper, that works with office scanners. So a lot of the innovation that we have been trying to do over a period. And one of the things that I am very fascinated now over the last 2-3 years is about educational games. Because I think games as a way to impart education is something that has a lot of potential, but very, very hard area to do because, preventing the kid from being too much into the game and no learning and too much into the learning and no game is also something that we'll have to don't worry about it. So it's a very, very challenging area. But I believe it has a lot of potential, particularly for lower classes, but even at public awareness or social education challenges, these have a lot of potential. Now, coming back to in terms of challenges, two things I've always been concerned about. Right from the time when I set up the group, I said, we should not just try to create a lot of tools because it may serve no purpose. We should encourage effective use of technology. Because even today, everybody is talking about, let's do augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, virtual AI, blockchain. But what is the actual use case for a student or students at different levels or even different subjects? I think that's the key point. So we should be able to bring in the right kind of technology, the right dose for the students, and that is, I think, where a lot of challenges still remain. And we are actually encouraging that don't just go for technology blindly, but you look at your audience, your subject, and your technological readiness. The second challenge that I'm looking at is I've been able to look at the NDR architecture document that Ministry of Education has recently brought out. Over 2 years now. It's a fantastic way to look at educational ecosystem in the country, because you are actually trying to bring everybody on board by creating open interfaces without mandating any particular tool or technology. But ensuring that this gets implemented in the spirit on the ground is a huge challenge, because there is a lot of groundwork that need to be done, defining the interfaces, defining the architectural support that is required for the different components at state, central, vocational, all of these educational aspects. I think it's a key challenge, and that is something that we would need to take it head on, particularly with the new initiative of from kindergarten to higher education. Everything should be shareable, interoperable, and things like that. So yes, that is what is my thoughts at the moment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sasikumar. A lot of people do not know that the growth India made in the last 20 years in the IT sector with the private, companies, a lot of credit goes to what CDAC did in its earlier years. When the world challenged us with sanctions, it was CDAC which, helped us hold our head high. And from that time, many of the innovations, many of the motivation to the IT sector came from me. So thank you very much, sir, for your organization's service to the nation. Thank you so much. Coming to Pawanji, a lot of times when you see work in the education sector, the people behind the curtains are people from EdCIL. So we are so fortunate to have Pawanji here from EdCIL. So please share your achievements, sir, and plans going forward.
Thanks, Kamlesh, and good evening to everyone. EdCIL as an organization is a part of Ministry of Education, and it's almost a 40 years old organization. We have a multiple roles. Actually, we have to implement the Ministry of Education's policies on the ground in the states. We have to manage the fund allocation. So it's complete a program management of their complete state funds that will be allocated to them. Now, that was the main role which EdCIL was doing it. But when the pandemic hit the country, we have to transform ourselves. And that's where the ministry said, okay, fine, this is the way that education has to be taken up on an online mode. And that's why the EdTech, the topic which is given today, has an importance here. And EdCIL has formed a digital education service vertical. That's what we are driving, the digital education perspective into the country. There are multiple solutions which are coming, whether the solutions are coming as an outcome from various unicorns of the country or as an outcome from various startups. But the objective is simple: how to make the education reach to the end user. That's it, to the end student in an effectively cost-effective manner. That's the whole objective. Besides, in the country's perspective, EdCIL wants to take our education system, because that's as a mandate from PMO, from our Honorable Prime Minister, that we should become as one of the leading nations to impart education to the global nations also. That's the program called Study in India. And we are the organization, as an organization, is running that. And we bring students across the world and to be coming to India, understand not only the Indian education system, but be familiar with the Indian ecosystem also. And that's the way we can make ourselves, our education system, easily accessible to the global world. And that's what EdCIL has been doing primarily. And currently has been effectively doing this Study in India program across, and we have already enrolled around 5,000 students in the last 1 year, covering almost 100 countries into India, and they have not been taken into not only the private institutions, various IITs and various central universities have taken the enrollment of those students also. So that's all about EdCIL. We'll come on to the next things subsequently. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, one of the Honorable Prime Minister's vision is, can India become a Vishwaguru again? Which means, can we be educators to the whole world like we were in the Nalanda in the olden times? I think in that direction, this program of Study in India, where we are able to attract international students to our leading institutions, is such a aspirational one. Thank you very much, Pawan sir. And you not talked about it, but they have also been supporting several of education initiatives at different levels. So thank you very much for all those services to the nation, sir. Now we'll come to a very important organization which little bit stays in the background, ERNET, ERNET sometimes, Education and Research Net, and we are so fortunate to have Banzal sir with us today. Request you to, sir, please share your achievements and your plans.
Thank you very much, Kamlesh ji. Good afternoon to all of you, and thanks to ET government for organizing this event, which is very, very useful. Regarding my organization, ERNET India, it's quite old organization as far as IT field organizations are concerned, and it takes pride in bringing IT earliest way back in 1980s, late 80s in the country. And presently, we are focusing more on accessing to the grassroots level, covering the smart virtual classes. We have covered in recent past almost 4,000 classes. We are making network also of the classes so that the problem of teachers which are not available in rural areas, or good quality of teachers which are not available, so that through network, through one center, one teacher can take classes for many classes in many villages or small towns, etc. Similarly, we have made a network for medical colleges, that is called National Medical College Network, NMCN, which is covering so far 50 number of medical colleges, including AIMS Delhi and PGI Chandigarh, etc. And we are in the process of developing network for many more such colleges. Third thing is we are into a exclusive domain registry for all kind of websites which are ending with ac.in or edu.in, or research institute which are where website ends with res.in, or we are going into Hindi also, vidya.bharat or shodh. So those kind of domain registry, we are the exclusive registry for the entire country. Next thing is we are into the reaching to the last mile or last person. So we are going through the satellite connectivity in all the islands of Lakshadweep group of islands, Andaman Nicobar, northeastern areas where it is not possible so far to reach by cable mode or through microwave mode. There we are reaching through the satellite mode. So we are one of the largest satellite service provider for education sector. So that is also one of the thing. The second thing is we are into making the websites in accessible format, so that all kind of students, whether they have the challenge in terms of person with disability, etc., they can read the website, they can interact a website, they can change the font, etc. So we are having tools by which we are converting so many websites into the accessible format. Other than that, we are now expanding in new areas as well. We are into establishment of data centers. We are using latest technology like artificial intelligence or augmented reality, virtual reality, which can bring significant change in the way education is imparted to our students. Other than that, we are into R&D also. So our some of the projects which are going on with in collaboration with IISc Bangalore or IIT Madras or Triple IT Delhi. One of the project we are doing on tactile internet, so that from remotely you are able to do the machine work at remote location. We are into the Makan project also, that is metro area quantum access network. So that we are doing with IIT Madras. So we are into R&D field, we are into education field, we are into domain registry field, we are into satellite service. We are now going into the data center work also. And coming to the latest technology, we are working on AR, VR, or artificial intelligence, machine, etc. Coming to the few challenges, which of course the challenge as far as IT is concerned is common. Initial there were hesitation to adopt the technology, but the positive side of this pandemic is that we all Indian have quickly adopted the technology. Uh, we everybody now they are very familiar with the advantages of technology, and they are able to access that very fast. And the second challenge, particularly in countryside, we find is the internet connectivity. Uh, some of the places it is available, but not at as high speed as which is available in our urban areas. But gradually, as Honorable Prime Minister said, that our fiber, optical fiber, should reach to every village of the country. All more than 6,66,000 villages we need to uh, we need to see that a fiber is reaching in 3 years target he has given. So once that will come, it will have the significant transformative change as far as education, as far as health, as far as other e-government services, etc. They are there. So I hope our future is quite bright as far as this field is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Banzal Saab. And we are so enlightened by what you shared in terms of the span of activities, whether it's for children with special needs or taking education to far remote areas which are otherwise not reachable, or data centers, or the impact or the implementation of quantum, approaches. So thank you very much. I think this is excellent work that they're doing. Now we will come back to the cycle, but here I have an idea for my panel members, because they are all four leading organizations represented by their leaders. So we will not get this opportunity very often. So the question to all my colleagues here is, how do you see a potential partnership with any of the other three organizations that are here on the panel in the area of applying education, technology to education? Because all of you are in a similar but yet sort of different areas that you're working in, and can we use this opportunity where four leading government organizations can pretty much maybe do something together? So I'm going to start with you, Patankar Saab. How do you see a potential opportunity? Because this is very early, so it might be just the initial thought, but do you see any opportunity of working together with the remaining three organizations?
No, very well articulated, Kamlesh sir. In fact, we are working with CDAC, as I told you. They are one of our examination agencies for the digital literacy project. And we are also working on some of the examination engine where some technology interventions are happening with the CDAC Noida actually. And we are also in touch with CDAC Bangalore and their other centers. So that is there. In fact, ERNET is part of MIghty. So I think whatever EdNet does, and if since they are already moving into the villages, so we are already in the villages, and we have very good network at the block level. So I told you that CSC academies are at the block level with broadband connection, power backup, biometric devices, as well as number of IT infrastructure, IT systems are there. So if EdNet wants to use that in order to implement such systems. Similarly, I think EdCIL is a mini Ratna company of Ministry of Education, and we are more than happy to work with them. We are working with NIOS, IGNOU, and many other institutions under Ministry of Education. We have integrated with the Swayam portal, the Swayam Prabha channel, and many other initiatives of Ministry of Education. We have recently tied up with University Grants Commission for the higher education courses. All the content in vernacular for higher education courses would be available at CSC centers. So that arrangement is already done. In fact, Chairman UGC announced it a fortnight back. So in fact, I think networking is most important, and as a single organization, you cannot move ahead. And as a common service center, since we are catering to the citizens, and our mission is to help citizens gather the best of the technologies, best of the education services which are available, or whenever government wants to reach the citizens, we are the last mile in order to bridge the gap between government and citizen. We are there to help, and we work with almost all, as I told you, all the academic institutions, Indian School of Business, Indian Institute of Technologies, and IEEE, who are into research and development field, and we are open for such partnerships wherever we can get the best standardized benchmark applications, technologies to the field, and which can be beneficial for socio-economic benefit of the users. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sasikumar.
Yeah, actually, I can see so many images of even these four plus other institutions coming together. So one of the immediate picture that you guys can see is, I mean, ERNET is taking care of the network connectivity minimally, okay, or at least one of the roads across the country. CSCs are right there. If they can make use of the ERNET connectivity and reach to the end user, the end villages and the remote areas. So that's one part. And then we are the technology people. So we can build the technology which we have been doing, virtual labs or games or whatever those technologies. And we would like CSC to make use of that and give us content free. And most of the things that we have been building are free. The entire virtual labs is freely accessible. So we would like that also to come. And of course, EdCIL as the enabler, because ultimately MOE is the umbrella which is going to drive education. We are all in some sense outside that system, but want to contribute. And also one more role is in all of this we need good quality content, and I think there is no better place to go to content than the teachers, and the teachers have to come from the Ministry of Education or the education institutions. So their ideas, their content, if it can be transformed to these technologies and then can be taken to the nook and corner of the country, what more do we need?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And continuing in the same vein, Pawan sir, how do you see anything additional in partnership with the other three?
No, I think very well said by the other colleagues. But I think EdCIL is an education consultant. So we have a technology partner, CDAC. We have a last mile provider, CSC. And we have a network provider, ERNET. I think that's the best ecosystem because that's the way you're killing the digital divide in the country. And that's the way if we have a lot of platforms, SWAYAM platforms, which is there as a ministry's platform. We have a Diksha for school education. And I mean, as a consultant, we would look forward to bridging and making this reach to the end at the rural part of the country so that the best of the best education can be imparted to these students, and we are not facing the problem of scarcity of teachers at the ground and the village side. That's what we can make a whole ecosystem, and that's the very well said. I think you have brought it all the four players together, and the platforms are already there. Huge contents are available. You can see some of the best teachers. I mean, if you see the industry has transformed. I mean, suppose somebody will ask who is the best teacher, who is some of the unicorns like Baiju Ravindran is a teacher itself. He was. I mean, just take 10 years back, he used to take classes. Now he has become like a $4 billion industry out from the country itself. I mean, it's just phenomenally. You will find after 10 years, some of the biggest industries will be in the education space, and that's the strength of education system which is going to transform in next 10 years. And I think from the government perspective, EdCIL would love to bridge whatever the best efforts these organizations of the government are doing. Even we are partnering with almost startups. We have floated an EUI. We got almost 60 responses for the startup people who have participated to take their products into the market. So that's the way we would want to be an enabler as an EdCIL from the Ministry of Education perspective. You are heard of it, this National Education Policy 2020, and that clearly talks about hybrid learning, both education and classroom. That's what we wanted to encourage, and that's the vision that as a Ministry of Education has got, and we would love to partner with these three organizations which are there in this panel, besides other private players which are there in the market also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pawan sir. Last but not the least, Banzal sir, how
Thank
do
you
you
very
like to partner additionally with the remaining three?
No, thank you very much. Out of the three, my fellow panelists, two are part of sister organization of the Ministry of Electronics and IT. So we are doing some of the projects already with CDAC. But as far as whatever the strength of each of the organization bring, I think there is certainly a scope of collaboration to as to bring the best, and we can present best to the country. CSC has got fantastic network across the country, and CDAC has got very good technology leadership. So we can and we are very good in the networking portion. So if all together can be done, we can solve lot many problems, particularly in education field, where availability of teacher and availability of good quality teacher, both are problem can be addressed using this.
Thank you
very
so much. Now, if any of the audience has question, I'll request that you put it on a writing pad and please pass it on to me so that we save time and we can take more questions as possible. While we are doing that, I'm going to pose one common question to all my 4 colleagues. And the question is that India at 75 has achieved a lot, but we have 2 major problems very quickly. Number 1, when 100 students start their schooling, only 30 complete class 12. 70% drop out in this whole journey. Number 1. Number 2, 50% of our children who are in class 5 can't read what a class 3 student should be reading. Read and add, foundational literacy and numeracy. How does your organization contribute to these 2 twin challenges of India as 75? How can technology help these 2 major problems? Large dropouts and children who have learning poverty. Half of them can't read and can't add. This question, I'll start maybe in the reverse order this time, so that maybe Patankar Sahab will say every time the new question comes to me, this time will be the last one. So let me request Banzal Sahab to start with that. Initial thoughts on this question, sir?
Thank
And
you
we'll
very
go
much.
to the remaining 3.
Actually, it's a very, very relevant question and very pertinent that why there is a large dropout. We need to really go deep into it, the reasons behind it. One is of course, affordability is one of the things, but government is taking not many steps and made, say, right to education as a fundamental right, so that education is imparted to each and every children, and with schemes like midday meals, etc., some of the portion is getting addressed. The most important thing is we have to generate interest in the student so that he continues with the education further. And to generate interest, it is very important that education should be imparted in the mode which he understands, in the language which he understands, and in the manner he can appreciate. So for that, applications like Bhashini kind of thing, where you can because most of the things, good qualities are available in English or Hindi language, but in the vernacular language is also equally important. And government is giving lot of emphasis on this, that all the examination etc. should be conducted in all languages. Even recently, Parliament also, they said whatever discussion is happening in Parliament should be translated in all kind of language. So that is very, very important step. It will bring out the best from those people, those students which are feeling handicapped because of the language kind of. So that is what very, very important thing which should be brought. Second is very important, which I feel is the gamification kind of thing, because most of the students, they learn fast when it is taught in the manner, in the form of game. So that generates lot of interest, that can generate lot of competition among the students. If whoever is scoring more marks can be given some kind of incentive, that is very important. Third, very important is about the assessment of the student and the pace on which he can learn. So assessment is very, very important. So where we can use latest technologies like artificial intelligence or machine learning kind of thing, where we can assess that what is the interest of the student, whether he is good in academic or non-academic field, what is the pace of his learning. So it is very important to assess him based on the data which he is generating actually. So that is a very, very important thing. And we can have these lectures etc. on cloud, so that can be accessed anytime in any manner, and so that he learns at his own pace and can take it forward. So that will, I think, to a large extent can address the problem of dropping out.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, sir. Large use of technology so that dropouts are reduced. Thank you. And games, etc. Sir.
So I think we need to understand why the people drop out actually. And that's the problem which we need to address. I mean, the education as a part, it should be made interesting to the student, and we should understand, I mean, what makes him feel better and attend the classes. And the way we see the edtech platforms which have come, I mean, I will not talk the commercial run, but if you see, there are people right from the remote corner of the country are taking the classes. If you say Khan sir from Bihar, I mean, the way he teaches, even every 5 minutes of bulletin of his, he makes it so interesting. So you will see that almost he has a follower of more than 1 billion. There are the physics wala, if you see that, he's just from Allahabad. I mean, he was a dropout and then he took physics classes. I mean, physics was one of the toughest subject when we used to study. He has made it so simplified. So that's the way the people, so we need to encourage teachers which make these classes more interesting. The content has to be for young generation, very young people. The content has to be made more in terms of a, it's like a gamification should come into picture, some kind of animation should come into paper because they can connect it. And that's why if you see most of the NCERT study, if any online platform increases the retention rate almost 25% for the students. And that's the way we have to make this, through this edtech platforms, make this more interesting chapters to reach out. The biggest problem which I foresee in this whole thing is too much of content. So there has to be a curation of content. There has to be the best content should be forwarded to the students, either where through the CSC, where you can give it on a pen drive, where there's no connectivity, because these are, I mean, these videos are very, requires huge bandwidth to download. And in the village, we don't have that type of internet so that they can, as compared to what we are having in Delhi. So it has to, these interesting videos should reach to those students. So that's the way we have to make this dropout ratio less, because that's the way we can address this whole problem. Another problem from the government perspective, that's the government has taken a new initiative. We don't have a records of the students when he was dropped out, why he was dropped out. So there's no analytics part of it. So that corrective course can be taken into that. And this is because for that, the new initiative, as we have seen this Vidya Samiksha Kendras are coming in each state, so that we have a data to analyze what way we should utilize our funds, how to make it more effective on the ground. That is what each state have been asked to build their own Vidya Samiksha Kendra, and center has been already, NCERT has built that same Vidya Samiksha Kendra. Some of the states have taken the massive lead in that. Once we have the data, we'll be able to take much better decisions, much better policies at the ground level. That's what as input from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Better decision making. I already have an angry bird look from this side. I'm not looking that side, but so I think in that vein, sir, if you can be brief.
Yeah,
Dr. Sasikumar
I can see the red screen staring at me, so I'm not going to answer much. So it's obviously a huge topic, so I think we can go on and on. So one question is that if people are getting dropped out because of home pressures, etc., building more flexibility in education is one thing to do, which I think is what the government is anyway trying to do. The emphasis on rote learning, which is usually what happens in most of school education, that also I believe is changing because the NEP. So these are some of the things. I am sure there are a lot of things that the others also talked about it. So let me not elaborate them.
I think I have the liberty to say that all the three speakers have pointed out the most important things, but I just wanted to make two very important points from my side. One is the personalization of learning. Every child is born same. Then why one goes to IIT, maybe other works in some other area. Two good interventions by government. One is the recognition of prior learning. People who are into trade are getting certified at a later stage of life. And out of school students, I think the National Institute of Open Schooling and the state open schools, I think these are some of the interventions which have. Other technological intervention is personalization of learning. In fact, in a classroom of 30 to 60 students in our country, there's only one teacher, and every child's understanding is different. One is maybe very poor, few students are at mediocre level, few are experts. So, but there is only one teacher, and that is why tuitions are very popular, because there is one-to-one interaction between the teacher and the student. I think if such systems like they use for US Marines to train on defense tech, I think similar systems have been used now being used in India, and many startups have been using AI-based personalization for learning. I think these are some of the technology interventions to support such dropout and giving personalization at your own pace, as sir mentioned. I think these are the things which should solve the problem.
Thank you very
And
much.
if time permits, I just want to
Please
quote one more thing. There's a story by Albert Einstein. Actually, Albert Einstein had a teaching assistant, and there was a question paper which was given to the students under Albert Einstein. And when the question paper went to the students, the teaching assistant pointed out that, sir, this is the same question paper which you had given in the previous year. He said, do not worry. Einstein said, do not worry. Questions are the same, but now the answers have changed. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So with such visionary leaders, we could have spent a whole day talking about learning from their insights and their plans. And we could see that how even on unexpected questions, they had a plan for the nation. So thank you, each of you, for your contribution to India being at 75 and our application of technology to education. I'm sure if we were to ever talk at India at 100, many of these goals that you have, visionary objectives, will be achieved. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure moderating this session. Actually, there was no moderation required because each of them are such wonderful speakers on their own. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, organizers.